Everybody, and welcome to another Girls on Games podcast. My name is Leah. Today, you got double the trouble. It's just Leah and Catherine here today. Hey, Kat, how you doing?
I'm good. I'm tired from my week, but I'm holding in.
Dude, it's summer's supposed to be slow. It's not. Yeah, I apologize for postponing the podcast until Thursday. I was really under the weather on Monday. And everybody was so busy and exhausted that no one could even fill in. So we're like, we'll just move it to Thursday. So this is what we did. It's a little different today. Simo is busy as well. So Kat and I are doing this ghetto style. So I can't even see her right now. I'm talking to the camera and you folks.
Because I haven't figured out how to source my camera to Skype and OBS at the same time.
Yay! We don't know what we're doing. That's why we need Simo. He's the man with the power.
He's the one with the knowledge.
He has all the power. But yeah, we've got a fun night tonight. We're going to be talking pixels, because that's a hot topic, and I got to see it yesterday. We're going to be talking about All Work, All Play, which Catherine and I both saw on Tuesday. Man, we've been busy. I've been in a movie theater more in the past week than I have since Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy days. We've got a bunch of news. I've also got Rainbow Six Siege beta codes to give away. So if you're here for that, that is awesome. Stick around. We will give those away. And trust me, I got a few. Like quite a few. So it's going to be good. But before we get started, a little bit of house cleaning. Just want to let you know that we've got little tiny donate button down below. We're trying to get Fan Expo and do some other cool stuff for you guys. And any little bit counts. I know we've got Paul on games and Craig kind of battling it out to see who could be the last person with their name on the Twitch thing. I don't even know if we have that running today because once again we don't have Simo.
Oh, I forgot Twitch alerts and
okay.
Nightbot.
So hopefully we don't break anything here this evening because Kat and I are doing this ghetto style.
Yeah.
Also, we've got t-shirts for sale. They're up on girlsongames.ca, thanks to Wonderful Electric. We've also got Green Man Gaming affiliation now, so you can see that link on girlsongames.ca and down here on the Twitch channel. And also want to let you know that if you want to ask any questions, because this is the ghetto style podcast today and very loose and kind of scripted, kind of not scripted, we're flowing by the seat of our pants here today. If you got any questions at all, throw them in the chat and we will answer them. So, Kat, what have you been playing, or have you had a chance to play anything? Because I know we've been like up to our eyeballs in events.
Yeah, well, I think that's why I went back to Forza Horizon 2, which is, it's easy to drop in, do a few races, beat a few bucket lists, and then drop out. Like, I haven't been able to really get into The Witcher because I've only had, like, play sessions of maybe, like, an hour or two at the time, and RPGs, you need to dedicate your life to them, and especially that one that has, like, hundreds of hours of gameplay and then DLC and everything. So yeah, I've just been kicking it with Forza Horizon 2, just putting on my tunes and just racing around for an hour or two. But today I downloaded Journey on the PS4, so I think that's gonna be my next one.
Yeah, I just booted that up earlier because I was curious to make sure that it had downloaded, because I had pre-ordered it and hadn't had a chance to even turn on my PlayStation in the past 2 days. So, yeah, I booted it up. Man, that game is beautiful! I posted a screenshot.
I'll have to go see it. I've been so busy I even missed that!
Yeah, it's on our Twitter handle, at The Girls on Games. I posted it. Got a few retweets. I'm like, oh my god, Journey is beautiful! Besides that, I finished story mode in Batman Arkham Knight, which is awesome. But, I feel now that, like, there's more stuff to do, and there's more endings to get without spoiling too much. I guess, like, you finish story mode, you also have the open world to do. There's a bunch that you could do. You get one ending. You do everything. You get a ultimate ending, I guess you could say. But there is no way in hell I'm going to have time to go and collect every single Riddler trophy. So I'm gonna do my best and get to ending one, and then I'm gonna watch the rest on YouTube because I have no time. There will be. Oh, our stream is crashing a lot. Are you doing all right there, Kat?
Yeah, I don't see any drop frames in OBS.
Oh, my computer just decided to go to sleep too. Hey, I told you this was the ghetto podcast here tonight. Are you guys still doing okay there?
Yeah. Let me know.
Right.
I don't know, like, so I'm not seeing any drop frames.
It shouldn't be my sucky computer because my computer's doing all right now. Cat's the one streaming, so it could be Twitch too. It could be a bunch of things. So we're gonna try our best.
So many things.
Yeah, so many things. So we're gonna do our best, but yeah, if it does get really bad, let us know.
Yeah, we'll try rebooting the stream or something.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess we're gonna get into some hot news since we've talked about what we're playing and what's going on and all that jazz. So today, a Diablo 3 update was announced. It's coming and it's free. Contains new missions and stuff to do. It follows off the expansion patch from Diablo 2, which is really cool for those who played Diablo 2. Me. Yeah, I'm really excited that a patch is coming and it's like DLC and it's free. That doesn't happen very often, and it's giving me a whole new excuse to go throw my Diablo disc back in my Xbox. Also, we found some news that Rise of the Tomb Raider, which was supposed to be a timed exclusive and very much is so, was supposed to come out or is coming out for Xbox first, and we finally got a date on when it's coming out on, or a somewhat timeline date, when it's coming out on PS4 and PC. PC's coming like 2016, I'm guessing spring era. PS4 is not coming until a year later, a holiday 2016. I don't really mind too much because there's lots of games to play and I own an Xbox, and obviously putting Tomb Raider up against Uncharted, they're kind of similar when it comes to concept. But that's a long time in between for a timed exclusive. How do you feel, Kat?
It is. And it's like, you get Xbox, PC, and then PlayStation 4. They're basically, by the time it comes out, it should be like a PS Plus rebate.
I know, it's kind of weird. Like, that's the time when you would be like, okay, time to get my Game of the Year edition.
Yeah, it's like, you're not
Yeah.
going to get it at full price on PlayStation. I don't know how that's going to affect Tomb Raider's sales and stats. If they do that, I think right off the bat, they'll have to rebate it. And, most publishers don't want to rebate a game on release.
But at the same time, maybe they were like throwing enough dollar bills from Xbox to be a timed exclusive that it's worth their time and effort and
Yeah.
the rebate, I guess. But yeah, it seems a little weird, like that long in the future to have to wait a year.
Yeah.
We've never really experienced that before.
And I mean, a lot of gamers can wait and will wait, but the point of waiting is to have a game that's patched, and B, getting not paying full price, or getting it bundled with the DLC that just came out or something like. So yeah.
Pat Laundry is saying that Eternal Sonata, Bioshock 1, Star Ocean, Last Hope Eternal, he's saying that they were all timed exclusives. But were they marketed as timed exclusives, or they were just later the deals were struck? Because this is a weird one where we know about the game, it's coming out, it was traditionally on both platforms, released at the same day, and this seems like a rare occurrence.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe they're trying out a new business model. Maybe Microsoft convinced them to try this new business model to, win the console war or something. Because let's face it, even like a year and a how long we've had these consoles? A year and a half? I still find the catalogs to be extremely similar.
It's very
very
much
similar.
It's very much filling a void for Xbox that PlayStation already kind of has with Uncharted. So.
Yeah, Uncharted and Infamous.
Yeah, and you couldn't put out Tomb Raider and Uncharted and push them both at the same time on PlayStation. That would be like cannibalizing the market.
Yeah.
So, next bit of news.
Wait,
NHL, what?
Paul on
What?
Games is asking you if Patrick Stewart really is that short.
He's not a very tall man.
A little bit of context. Leah had to go, oh, poor her, film an interview with Patrick Stewart for Showm. And she took a picture with him. And we all know, like, spoiler alert, Leah's not the tallest girl around.
No, I'm
You're
not
not
very
you're not
tall.
super short, but you're
I'm
not.
average.
Yeah. And yeah, on the picture he doesn't look much taller than her. So that would put him what, about my height?
Well, yeah, no, I'd say he's probably my dad's height. He's probably like 5'8". But he's also, an older gentleman, and gravity works against us as we get older, and people shrink and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, he's probably starting to shrink. But yeah, I don't think Captain Picard was a very tall in stature man. It always seemed like Riker was maybe a few inches taller. So, yep. But he's very nice. It was a very good interview. I think they have it up on showm.com if you want to check it out. Hosted a gala yesterday night at Just for Laughs Festival, and he's got his own new comedy series coming out. I'm trying to remember the name off the top of my head, but I can't. But he plays this journalist who has his own TV show, but he's also like a cokehead, alcoholic, all this stuff. And he said in the interview it was the first time he played a post-coital scene, sorry. And I thought it was actually hilarious that he said coital and not sex, and I was giggling, and he laughed, he looked at me, and he smiled a little, and I was like, squee! But yeah, he's a very sweet man, and he looked genuinely happy to be there, and to be doing, because he's a theater man at heart, he's a Shakespearean actor, so he looked like he's really excited to be doing comedy. And I saw a picture from the Just for Laughs event last night, and he had on a knight's uniform, like the whole garb, the helmet, and all that stuff, and he came out doing something funny. So I imagine it had to be a time last night with Patrick Stewart.
I really liked the. For a while, he was in New York with his best friend. He plays Gandalf. Is it
Ian McKellen?
Yeah, and they're like super best friend, and
They're buddies.
they went around New York and they did all the touristy stuff and just
Mm-hmm.
took selfies and just
Mm-hmm.
just tweeted stuff like, pizza, the Statue of Liberty, and they just went like that like for a whole week. That's all they did on Twitter. It is the best series of tweets of my life, and it's so cute, and they look genuinely like candid and happy to be doing, like, they look like kids with
Yeah.
like their parents gave them $20 and they were like, go hang out around New York. And I just love that at their age, that's their attitude to being like in America.
Yeah. A bunch of fun older gentlemen.
Anyway,
Getting,
thanks for the segue.
getting back to video game news, NHL 16 is getting a beta next week. Kinda. So, all those features that were lacking in NHL 15, EA heard our cries, they're bringing them back, and in the process, they're doing a beta test next week for eSports Hockey League. Sorry, I'm trying to keep my train of thought here while following chat at the same time. And yeah, so next week, starting on July 30th, running until the 6th. If you have a copy of NHL 15 on Xbox or PlayStation, pop that sucker in. On the prompt for the game, you will have the option to test out the beta of the league. So you can, team up with your buddies, make a team, play in the league, same sort of thing. NHL, you're used to it if you had previous NHL games, like, since this is a feature they've had since '09, and they just failed to give it to us last year. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure there's lots of hockey fans. We live in Canada. It's kind of everybody's obsession. So everybody's looking forward to that. I don't know why they need a beta per se. I guess it's to test the network to make sure it doesn't fail miserably. Obviously, this is not a true test of NHL 16 because it's running on the 15 engine. We'll hear more, I guess, later. We're going to test it out, play it, see what happens. More news when it comes to pro gaming. Drug tests now are going to become part of the e-circuit. ESL is going to be doing random drug tests because there are claims, and they admitted to it, but of course they couldn't do the test because it was after the fact, that some of the folks from Counter-Strike Go Comp team Cloud9 were using some performance-enhancing drugs I say this in quotations. But it was for ADHD or drugs so that kids could calm down and that kind of stuff, and it's supposed to like help your attention span and all that kind of stuff. So obviously that would help in these stressful situations where they're competing. It's kind of interesting to see that now that esports has come to this level that now they have to do drug testing, but it makes total sense. I mean, you have it, if you want it to be considered a sport, everybody needs to be clean and play fair. How do you feel, Kat?
Yeah, I know. It's if we want it like to be legitimate, it has to be regulated, and drug testing comes with it. Like you see, when you see these competition, they're like downing energy drinks like there's no tomorrow, and because it makes them alert and makes them, they habit or whatever, and makes them better gamers because you're more alert and you're more. Would you see an athlete before, like, I don't know, pole vaulting at the Olympic Stadium downing a whole can of Red Bull? No. And then heading to compete?
No, probably not.
No, and I think like it's not about like if energy drinks are good or bad or whatever, but it's like it's just a poor health choice.
But that's energy drinks. These are like legitimate drugs, like you need a prescription for them. Or
I know, like, uppers and everything, but it's like if we're gonna go to the level of like being recognized as a sport, even we're gonna have to start at energy drinks and then work our way up to the uppers and the performance enhancing drugs. And it also means that if you want to be considered like, a legitimate competitor, I mean, you're gonna have to take care of your health, and maybe the traditional gamer lifestyle is gonna have to go. And maybe if you're healthier and have like, you follow a strict regimen like athletes do, you won't need to down a Red Bull to stay alert for 30 minutes.
Exactly.
You'll be alert. Your heart will be beating like it's supposed to.
Yeah. Something we used to do when I was a competitive synchronized swimmer is before a routine we would down pixie sticks like nobody's business. So we were hyped up on sugar and being absolutely ridiculous while we were in the water. Because I don't know if anybody's ever seen synchronized swimming before, but you have to have a smile on your face the whole time while you are torturing yourself. But yeah, I guess it's the same sort of thing when it comes to Red Bull. But yeah, it's so many like those energy drinks and stuff. They sponsor the events, so you can't really cut them out of it.
I mean, you can have them sponsor the events. Just people might not have to drink 5 of them during a tournament.
So. Oh, dude, I can't drink one.
I am a true and addicted coffee drinker, and I drink coffee. Like I drink 2-3 coffee a day. I had 1 sip of Red Bull, and I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. I started to see time and space. I was just like, what the fuck is this? And then people on streams are like, this is my 3rd gaming. I'm just like, how are you not dead?
I don't know, man. I don't know. Pat is saying Miss Harvey's a perfect example of someone who really is an athlete. Yeah, that's true. She trains. She has a regimen that's very much like an athlete. And she works out and all that kind of stuff. You also notice, too, the team that came to ESWC for Cloud9, those guys are fit. Like fit as fiddle. They do not fit your stereotypical, I guess we would want to call
were
gamer.
all wearing muscle shirts. Their uniforms were muscle shirts, and they were playing guns out.
They were ripped.
They had guns out in the game, and then they had their guns out in real life. It was just like, when they walked in, I was like, okay, is that security? And they were just like, they sat down their computers and being like, CSGO. I was like, wow.
Yep.
No. And I mean, like, if you look at Miss Harvey, like, her hard work pays off. Like, she's one of the best.
Yep.
So.
And she's like hardcore too. She has a full-time job.
She's a 9-to-5er, and she's a full-time streamer, and she collaborates on stuff, and she won a CSGO competition with her team. They're currently the champions in the world for the ESWC.
Yeah, she's proper hardcore. And last little bit of news that I have for today. Puma is jumping back into bed with Metal Gear Solid for Phantom Pain. They're making boots. These boots, even Kojima tweeted these boots. I'm going to put the link in the chat, because personally, you have to understand, I love me some sneakers, okay? But these are kind of ugly. And we all know that Kojima is not working on Metal Gear Solid anymore and is not working with Konami anymore. So the fact that he actually tweeted out these boots, I was like, wow, you're actually giving them some love. It's impressive. Yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Kat, did you get a chance to see them?
I'm looking at them now. They're pretty balling.
Really, I am not attracted to them whatsoever. But then again, I'm not a fan of Puma, so
Well,
it's not for me.
it's got that army look. You gotta like the army look.
Yeah, not
It
my thing.
it looks like, like an army boot and a Sorel boot had sex and had a kid.
And they slapped it with a Metal Gear Solid 5, the Phantom Pain logo.
Yeah, I mean, it's not my thing. Like, if I'm gonna do army boots, I'm gonna do the Steve Madden Troopas, or I'm gonna
Yeah.
go to
Surplus?
Surplus. Like, there's like 5 of them on Saint Laurent on the street where I work.
Yeah, this is not the first time they've done this too. They did other Metal Gear Puma jackets and sneakers in years prior. I was doing some research, and back in 2014 they had a set, and it's nice gear, but it just looks like Puma equipment with a logo slapped on it. So whatever, not really my thing. I'd rather when it's a little bit more cut to look like the what it's representing, like they do with the Assassin's Creed stuff. But of course, that's UB Workshop doing its own thing.
Yeah, they don't have to like please both parties. There's just one party involved.
Mm.
And honestly, like, I still love the Puma driving shoes, like the slick shoes, so I wouldn't do the boot. Just get the nice shoes. My god, shiz.
Oh my god, shows. I guess it's time for us to get into some topics. You and I have seen a bunch of movies in the past few days. Let's get on with the first one that you and I both saw together, which is All Work, All Play. All Work, All Play is a documentary that covers esports, specifically League of Legends, and a tournament that happened in Catherine. You're going to have to pronounce the name of the city in Poland because I can't do it.
Oh god, it had K's and S's and C's.
Yeah, no, I don't want to butcher the name. But essentially, there was a huge tournament in Poland for League of Legends last year. It was the 9th one for ESL. And the tournament, this kind of follows the history of esports, the gentleman who runs the event, and a bunch of the teams. And it really does focus a fair amount on the American teams, 2 of them, TSM and Cloud9. And you get to follow them a bit, and you get to learn a little bit more about the players, which is kind of good. It doesn't get very deep, because obviously they want to keep it surface level, because I think a lot of this is for education purposes, to get people to know what esports is, and also to give some backstory into esports and competitive gaming and all this kind of stuff. I think it really is to be an education tool. But yeah, it was an interesting concept. They're only showing it twice in theaters. The live event, the full-on live event, was on Tuesday. They're re-showing it next Tuesday, the 28th, I want to say. And so if you want to go check that out in theaters. Now, when we watched it, it was started at 8:30, and they had a half-hour showing of Starcraft, kind of giving people an example of how Twitch streaming works in a competition. They had 2 StarCraft players playing off against each other. We ran into a bunch of technical difficulties. I don't know in the beginning if it was...
We have no context.
Yeah.
They sounded like right off the bat, as soon as they opened the live pre-show, they sounded like they were underwater, or they were like the Charlie Brown teacher. It was like... And we were just like, what?
The StarCraft game actually sounded perfect, and then their audio sounded like crap from the commentators.
Yeah.
We don't know if that was the issue with the theater or the issue with the stream. We were tweeting it. Other people in other cities were having no problem. So
apparently it was the theater. At the end, the manager told us they had the audio problem themselves. That's why they gave us, on the way out, they gave us a ticket to come back, a voucher to come back and see another event, because we lost like half hour of the show. But I mean, we had some of the guys from Boreal eSports behind us, and one of the guys was commentating the StarCraft game, so at least that was entertaining. And then he explained to us what was happening in the game and what people were doing and things like that. So, but we were just like, this better be fixed before the actual documentary starts.
Yeah, it was a little confusing at first because I didn't realize that they were going to do like a preamble, the documentary, and then a like question and answer period afterwards. So, you had half hour of that or half hour 45 minutes. The documentary, which was probably like what, 2 hours? An hour and a half, 2 hours? And then like a half hour afterwards, the question and answer with a bunch of the people from the show. They're the director, the manager of Cloud9, one of the players, the gentleman who runs the show for the event, and their host. And it was just really long. But I mean, it's a premiere, so what do you expect? There's going to be like some sort of thing at the end. I don't think they needed the Starcraft thing at the beginning at all.
At all. I would have done a longer Q&A after. Like, I would have
Me
done
too.
the presentation, whatever, like, and pay attention to these people. Have a Q&A after. So, like, most of the documentary, they follow Mihal around. And then he was there at the end, and, like, I would have loved, like, for them to ask more questions to Mihal. Because he's basically, like, the one running the whole thing.
Mm.
And the director had some good insight because he made this movie not being into gaming or into sports, but doing it because his kids are so much into it that he was like, what the hell is going on? And then he discovered this effervescent world of competitive and professional gaming. So I would have loved those questions. I would have loved, like, to get more, but at that point I was so tired and I was done. I was like, it's 11.
11:30.
11:30, like, let's go home. I would have cut the StarCraft thing and just been like, here's the movie, here are the Q&As. But I understand that they wanted, like, a eSports sort of thing, like, give us the true esport experience before we watched. However, they did a StarCraft. I don't know why they did a StarCraft 2 game while the documentary was concentrating on League of Legends.
They did talk about StarCraft a little bit because during that event they had StarCraft on the side, but obviously League of Legends is the biggest, esports game in the world, and because it's a team game, you get that like camaraderie and all that kind of stuff, and you feel more for them because it's a team, and it's easier to get behind a team than an individual player. So that's obviously why they stuck to League of Legends. Plus the show, like. It's funny because we went to ESWC and I was expecting something because I've seen pictures of this event that was shown in the movie, and I was kind of expecting something like that with a stage and the rigmarole and the light show and all that jazz, and it was a little different. At ESWC, they had less space and they had to do more matches in less amount of time, so they had to set it up differently. It was actually kind of hard to spectate. But yeah, I was expecting that big spectacle, like.
But even if you notice at ESL, the CSGO is, like, off stage. They have, like, League of Legends, Starcraft, CSGO exhibits. So it was like, so I don't think CSGO is a big enough game for that. I mean, it's up and coming, and I mean, there's a strong following, but League of Legends is the esports game right now. So I can understand how they get a better production value, but they're also a bigger organization than ESWC. But now I understand. Like, after seeing this, when Simon at last podcast, he was like, "Yeah, the production values wasn't that great at ESWC. It's not like up to snuff. It's not the streams weren't as great, and the commentators were good, but like the production value wasn't there." And after seeing All Work All Play, I'm like, holy shit. They had smoke machines and light flares.
Confetti, and a stage.
And a fucking cup.
And a cup. Oh, yeah. It looks like the Stanley Cup, but, like, smaller. And it's all engraved and everything. It's pretty spiffy. Yeah. I must say, if out of 10, I'd probably give it about a 7 for a documentary. I felt that it was a little self-serving. For ESL, but I mean, if they paid for it, then it makes total sense, right? But it was well produced, entertaining. It didn't really ever drag. There's only one moment where I was like, "Oh, is this the end?" When they were doing the competition in San Jose.
Yeah.
I thought they weren't going to get to the grand finales, but then they did. But they made it pretty well paced otherwise, and it just goes to show how big esports is. If you're totally new to League of Legends, it's good too, because they explain the concept of the game really easily. They explain everything right down to the pentakill. They show one big match where one player, I'm trying to remember which team it was from now,
Was
that
it
did that.
Fnatic? Or...
Yes, did that crazy kill that to
Yeah,
win the
yeah,
match a year ago.
Yeah, the other team just went for he was the last one standing. They went for the Nexus. He went for their Nexus and managed for somehow to like destroy their Nexus.
Well, he was using a teleportation thing to dodge an enemy attack, and he had like 0 life left, and he managed to kill the Nexus himself and won the match when everybody else was dead. It was wild. So yeah, it was really cool to get to see that. I'm glad that they're showing these kinds of things in theaters. I hope that they put this, and I imagine that they're going to be putting this doc on like Netflix and stuff later, because this is the kind of content that like will get more traction later than just a 2-night event at theaters. We were lucky; we had about 60 people in our theater. In other theaters, like our colleague 8-Bit Blonde, Ali, she was watching in Destrant. We were at Scotiabank Theatre downtown Montreal. She was at Destrant, which is about, I'd say, 20 minutes away. And she had, like, nobody in her theater. But she tweeted a question to the director during the question and answer period. And it actually made it on screen, so you can check out Twitter for that. We were, like, freaking out in the theater. We're like, oh my god, that was Ali!
We broke the rule, took out our phones, took a photo. YOLO.
Don't tell anybody. I mean, we're only talking on the internet.
I know, it was like such bad movie theater etiquette, but it was like, whatever. I just turned down the contrast on my screen, and I was just like, let's tweet this shit.
But we kind of had bad movie etiquette when the thing wasn't working right, and we were totally science fiction theater 3000ing it, like commentating, talking about the poor setup with the like wah, 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 wah.
Well, one guy was like, audio is DLC.
Audio is DLC, and I'm like, we need a translator. Oh my, so funny.
Oh, like I didn't know we were going to see Charlie Brown.
Yeah. So, Kat, I give it a 7 out of 10. What do you give it?
I'm gonna give it an 8. You know, it was very entertaining, and it gave a lot of context, and you know, what I like is that they did address the why we have the cliche of the guys in a basement alone.
Yeah.
Because it actually started in a basement, because Mihal was saying how he used to organize Unreal Tournament tournaments
in basements,
in shitty internet cafes back in Poland.
Yeah.
And it basically looked like the gamer cliche, and then today he's like, here's what I'm organizing. We're gonna fill this arena with people that's gonna watch other people play video games, and I have fucking light flares. And it's just like, just mind-blowing, and it's just like, no, I really like that they addressed that like, we have this cliche because of this, but that's what's like the early 2000s. Nowadays, this is what's happening. This is the global phenomenon. And, you know, they really explain well how and why video games are gonna, like, take their place among mainstream media. Like, it's the only entertainment industry that's actually booming right now.
Yeah. So that was a good movie. Now, on to the not-so-good movie. So last night I got to see Pixels. I didn't pay to go see this movie.
Let's just put it up there.
I kind of expected to go in and see a shit show. Like, come on. I had read a few headlines before going in. I try my best when going to see movies and stuff is not to see too much of it, but when you work in the media industry, it's kind of hard, and like this shit goes around, and like you look at Twitter, and it was already trending before I even went into the premiere. And I watched the movie, and I came out, and I'm like, that wasn't so bad. But maybe it's because I went in expecting a shit show. It's an Adam Sandler movie, and Adam Sandler hasn't done too much good stuff in the past little while. But you know what? Like, it had cute moments. I laughed a few times. I was able to shut my mind off and not think about everything else that I do in a normal day. But afterwards, I watched the video by a reviewer who ranted and lost his fucking mind about how bad the movie is. Now, mind you, everything he brings up are valid points. Totally valid. And I remember all these moments from the movie that he talks about, and they make total sense. But it seemed like his review was dipped more in anger than anything else, and like he was offended by what they did to franchises that he takes to heart. And I find that this is an issue with video games all the time, is everybody really, really takes everything to heart, like it's a personal attack. When people are talking about video games and taking things from, I guess, our childhoods that people want to talk about. I also read a review on the Mary Sue. Same kind of thing, and they were saying a little less aggressive because obviously this was a written review and not the video that Buddy did yelling at people. Saying the same kind of comments, how like it's like perpetuating stereotypes and there's lots of plot holes and like making an actual woman as a trophy, that kind of stuff.
What?
But yes, I know. But you know what? I feel like I came out of the movie and I was just like, okay, and I walked away. And everybody internet is fucking angry. And I'm like, but I'm not angry. Maybe because I went in and expected shit and was delivered shit. And yeah, I didn't really freak out over it. I feel weird being a reviewer and a critic and a consumer of media and an educated individual talking about criticism and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, why am I not angry? And I feel bad. I feel guilty about it. We have a group chat on Facebook with our GOG crew. And I was like, I feel bad that everybody's shitting on this movie. And I'm just like, Is that weird?
Well,
Like, do I have a reason to feel guilty about not being mad?
no, that's just like how our society works. That's the pack mentality.
Mm.
You're not fitting in the pack, so you're like, what's wrong with me?
What is wrong with me?
I mean, also, like, I think you and I have seen our share of, video game franchise from our childhood, like, having its ups and its downs, that, you get a okay Mario game and you hope the next one is great.
Mm.
So, like, that movie could basically say that, that Pac-Man can eat the ghosts at any moment and not while he has the boost, and I would still be like, yeah, what, you're wrong, but who gives a shit? I'll just be like, this is a badly researched movie. But I won't get angry because they said something bad about Pac-Man. It's like sports fans are the same. A lot of sports fans are so visceral about what they like. And you get like, you mispronounce, Subad, and somebody's like, that's not how you say it!
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, we calm the fuck down. I read letters off a piece of paper.
Mm.
I know I live in this city, but that doesn't mean that, you can try to ignore hockey if you want. And I find that video games, a lot of people are like that. You do one little thing wrong and they'll dissect it and they'll criticize it and they will drag you to the mud. So maybe that's why so many people are like angry about that movie. Because there's been shitty movies all year.
There's been shitty movies all year. It's
who's yelling about these shitty movies? Like, who's yelling? And like, even the Avengers was okay. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. Still, nobody's yelling about it, and you'd think like super nerds, Marvel super nerds, would be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Mm.
There's this movie which is a blip in the universe that has Adam Sandler in it, and it's just like people are freaking out. Why? Because it has Pac-Man and fucking Space Invaders. Is that why?
I think there's a bunch of reasons. One, the media blitz on this movie is unbelievable. It's all I hear about. It's like they knew what was going to come of it. Obviously, this is something they're trying... I don't know if they're trying to appropriate what is currently pop culture and trying to pick up something that is trending right now and totally screwing it up. But like I said, it's not like I didn't have lull moments. Like, there were hints of things in the movie that could have worked. I thought Peter Dinklage was actually funny because he was so over the top. It was weird and yeah, but there are moments where they're just like awkward comments. But they were still funny because it's the type of humor that you and I do, like, anyway on a daily basis. Like, we're not PC, we're not politically correct, we all the time, and we just take it for granted because we know that we never ever do that in real life or say those things or mean it, but it's just like they're so awkward that they're funny. Do you know what I mean? Billy
Yeah.
Madison is a lot of that in the movie. like just weird, awkward shit. And I saw there was a few moments of like they tried to bring back some of the Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore love, affection, and there were hints. But yeah, obviously the story has plot holes. The video game stuff was not represented totally well. But it was pretty. I liked the look of the movie as a aesthetic. I thought it was kind of cool. But yeah, I don't feel angry, and I feel weird that I don't feel angry.
You shouldn't get angry about trivial stuff like this. I mean, we could get angry, we could get offended about the fact that a woman was an actual prize because that's like a very like society issue. Like, us as women, would we like to be given as a prize? No.
Mhm.
Go fuck yourself. I would be angry about that, but being angry that the movie was bad, I'd be. I might.
I've watched other bad movies. Hey, not as bad as my friends who last night went to another movie. They went to Terminator and walked out. They couldn't take it anymore. They actually walked out. So,
Yeah.
that's all you can do. You're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. If you don't want to go see it, don't pay the money.
Yeah, I would just be angry that, there goes $15 and this movie was terrible.
I didn't pay for it. It was a premiere.
Let's face it,
Therefore-
when's the last time we paid for movies? Oh, all work, all play. Never mind!
Well, not really. We got a free movie out of that one.
Yeah.
Didn't work. Oh my. Okay. Before be mad. Sergeant Dudley is telling me to be mad. Roar! I'm never really that mad. If I'm mad, yeah, it's not good. Before we move on to topic 3, I want to let everybody know that if you have any questions, drop them in chat. Because Kat and I are obviously playing it loosey-goosey here this evening, because it's just the two of us. And yeah, we're delayed on our podcast a bit this week, so we want to give you guys some love and some attention. Tron Legacy is legit. What? Okay, I enjoyed Tron Legacy. Once again, maybe that's me. Maybe I'm just a sucker for shitty movies. Maybe that's it. That would make sense. Okay, topic 3. So there was a eating disorder website, or an anti-eating disorder website. I don't know how you'd really even call that. It's a website to help people who have eating disorders. There we go. That's an easy way to say it. Made realistic versions of female video game characters. This is really cool. I'm going to throw the link into chat. It's something that I grabbed from Mashable. Here you go. So you guys can all check it out. So essentially what they did is they took like covers of GTA 5, they took Cortana, they took Lara Croft, and they gave these, and Riku from Final Fantasy 10-2, I think that was actually an image from 10-2 that they did.
No, that was from 10.
10? Okay.
The bikini top is from 10, I think.
10? Okay. Anyways, and they gave them more realistic body types. In some cases, I don't know, it looks a little odd. But at the same time, like, is this bringing up, like, should women be represented more realistically in art for video games? Should men be represented more realistically because they're all buff and whatever in most video game covers and stuff, badass? I don't know how you feel, Kat, being a feminist and all this jazz. How do you feel about seeing these graphic representations of realistic looking women on things that you've already seen and, spent time with, these different characters?
I think it's interesting to see how the difference is very pronounced. You'd think that, you put a bit of weight on these characters, they would just look like you and I, but they look like when you put them side by side, there's a very, very big difference.
Mm.
And honestly, I think it's a very beautiful trend in media to do these comparisons, and I think it's a healthy trend. I don't care if video games characters are like if they look disproportionate, if they're too over the top buff and the women have this tiny waist, it does break my immersion of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I stare at something, graphics for me are very important. When I stare at something that's not realistic, it really hampers my experience. Some people, they don't give a shit. Some people, they want the, the fantasy. They want the super buff guy and the super hot girls. Everybody's hot in this video game because it's my fantasy. For me, if something like does not fit, is not realistic, it just breaks me. So I would love to see a more diverse cast of realistic bodies in video games, and especially plastered on the posters. I'm really digging sites like ModCloth that use their employees as models.
Yeah, that's cool.
Um, and they got this chick that works there that's really hot, and she was pregnant, so they had her do maternity wear. There was some of the, they actually have put plus size clothing on plus size people, and these girls look amazing and they look great, and I'm like, and they're next to the girl that almost has a model like body, and you know what, I don't feel bad. I'm not like, wow, the thin chick is making the fat chick look bad, and I'm like, no, they just look great. They both look great. So there's no reason why we couldn't have the super hot chick in the video game, like the bikini, whatever, and then have a thicker girl, like a curvy girl or a shorter girl or longer. I don't know. Everybody's beautiful to me.
I think some of the representations and illustrations that they did, some of them are more effective than others. The one of Tifa actually looks like a real person. Also, the one of Cortana. But something about Lara Croft just looks weird. I don't know. Maybe it's just the way the artist represented them. But there's an interesting tweet on the Mashable article. One person wrote, "What are your thoughts about this? They've used classic rather than the reboot of Lara." And then they wrote, "Well, the average woman is maybe shaped that way, but the average woman doesn't climb mountains and fight wolves." So I imagine in certain cases when you have athletic individuals like Lara Croft and stuff, who are, fighting and that kind of stuff, they're in shape, so they are ripped. Do you know what I mean? They're not ripped like skinny, like hourglass figure. They're built like shit brick houses, like, strong. So they do have the muscles and the six packs, and they're super lean and all that jazz because they're active, right?
Yeah. No, but it's not the problem that they have a six pack. It's the problem that they have the six pack and then the like Triple H cup. Like, athletic body, I get it. But if you look at, like, if you compare these video game characters to, like, people that we see in the Olympics, the proportions are still off. They're still not realistic.
They're still not realistic.
It would be, yeah, an Olympic swimmer who had a boob job that she would never get because it would hamper her athletic performance. So, like Lara Croft the new Lara Croft doesn't look that bad. But if you get that athletic and you lose that much body weight, she would start to lose like fat in her bosom. But her boobs wouldn't be that big and round and perky. They would actually like flatten down and start to get flaccid because she loses so much, so much body weight. That's my only thing. Like, I'm fine with the six packs. I'm fine with the athletics.
Yes, the over accentuated bosoms.
Yeah, and some of the guys that are so muscly that, you see them and then they get with a woman and I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, anybody in real life that has, like, that does that kind of bodybuilding will tell you that they do sacrifice a bit of performance down there. So, is that part of the deal when they make a super bulk guy? No, they make him look like this stallion that can get a boner like this. But in reality, it might not be the case.
Indeed.
Yeah,
I love the new Lara too, Pat. She looks more real than any character so far. Also, she's attired correctly, and even in that trailer that we saw at E3, it's winter time, so she's in a snowsuit. Like, that makes total sense. You're not seeing a whole lot. She looks like any one of us when we're bundled up against the cold. Some of these pictures, though, like, they just look squished. And that's just me as aesthetic for like in Photoshop and graphic design and all this stuff. Like the Riku one, it just looks like they went like this. So
yeah, I wouldn't have given what's her name? God, the fighter girl from FF7. Her name is on the tip of my tongue.
Tifa?
Tifa, there we go.
Yeah.
When they gave her a more realistic body type. They just like gave her a gut, which
No, her legs are thicker. Like they look
yeah,
like they touch. Her legs are thicker,
I would
so that looks
have
more proportioned. Her arms are not as skinny. Also, they took in her chin, which like your face still could be like that. Like instead of having like a super like tapered chin, they made it a little bit more squared, but I don't think that's right. In some of the images, they actually look like they added more round,
yeah.
like body fat to the face to accentuate it. But your face can't actually be shaped like that and be that skinny. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. For me to make Tifa more realistic, I would have flattened out her chest. I
Yeah,
would
they
have,
did that a little bit.
I would have given her a stockier figure. Like if she's a fighter, like she needs like ripped legs, and like ripped arms. I would have kept the six pack. And I would have maybe like revised the um her chest. And if she's fighting, like even when you have a lot of breasts, when you wear a sports bra, it just flattens it down anyway, and you
Well,
look flat chested.
look at Ronda Rousey. That woman is gorgeous. Like absolutely gorgeous. She's one badass girl. And yeah, she's ripped, but she's not when she's done up, like in dresses and all that kind of thing. You can see she has waist and all that kind of stuff. She's super skinny. But when you're that fit and that athletic, you have no boobs. And the thing is like you don't want them. They get in the way. Like they're such a pain in the butt.
I know, like I know that a lot of female bodybuilders will get boob jobs,
Yeah, because
for
they
the
use them.
show and everything, but they're not actually like fighting or I don't have that big of a chest, and even then, like at one point somebody was trying to teach me golf, and they were like, "Your swing is off." I'm like, "But it's just like I can't rub my arms against my chest like you're asking me to do because there's something in the way." So
Yeah.
and I don't even have that big a chest, so I can only imagine that Tifa with not wearing a bra, just like some scantily clad like white thing, she would go to drop kick some dude and she would hit herself in the face with her own boobs. That's See, that my problem is not that she's thin. It's just like if she's a fighter, she's gonna make sure they stay out of the way and put on a fucking sports bra or tape them down or something.
I have a total mental picture right now.
I know, isn't it?
Oh my god! Whoosh.
And
Oh my.
in Final Fantasy X, they had the sorcerer girl with like, she had the rack, like she had them up, like. But she
Oh
was a
yeah.
she was a sorceress. All she did was this, whatever, fire or dead.
Yeah,
So she can
exactly.
have the rack. Who cares?
It's in the end, I think it was a very good exercise to do. It's interesting. It obviously got people talking. It's on Mashable. It's all over the place, trending, all that jazz. Yes, it's a good exercise. Is it going to be practical? Is it going to prove anything? Is it going to change video games? I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, it's still an escape is a mechanism, medium. But yeah, it's interesting to see how it goes. Mm-mm-mm. I don't. I Is there any character that you would have liked to see them try besides the ones that they had done here?
Uh, who did they do? Like, I
They
don't
had
see
Tifa. They had
Cortana.
Navarro,
See,
Cortana.
Cortana isn't that bad. Like, I don't
No,
see why they did Cortana.
I mean they gave her a little bit more in the waist and made her boobs more realistic due to gravity. But besides that, they didn't change a whole lot.
No.
And her head, they brought her head down. I don't know who's the like. Yeah, it would be really cool if they'd taken the Mortal Kombat characters. But the
Yeah.
whole point of Mortal Kombat is it's so over the top anyway.
Yeah, I
That
know,
like,
like, Mortal Kombat wouldn't work with realistic body types because there's nothing realistic about Mortal Kombat.
no, nothing,
Uh,
nothing.
I think, what was her name? Shamus Aran? Is that how you pronounce her? The Metroid girl? Like,
Samus, yeah.
Samus. It's not Seamus, it's
No,
Samus.
it's Samus.
Jesus. Yeah. When she's in her zero suit, she has, like, a giant rack, and I'm just like, how can you run around in a spacesuit and destroy Metroids and have that rack? Like, who's your plastic surgeon?
Huh? Interesting
But
stuff.
also, like, if you look at people in the media, like real people,
Mm.
they're so done up by plastic surgery too that it's like you know, and a lot of people are making comments about Caitlyn Jenner, but I mean, Bruce Jenner, like, even when he was, like, living as a man, had so much plastic surgery. You'd see his face, and I'd just be like, that's not the face of anybody. That's
No.
not what he used to look like. That's how he looks like. And I don't think it was surgery to make him look more feminine. I think it was just, he was just trying to, he was just in
Yeah.
Hollywood, and that's what they do. So, video games or real life celebrities.
Yeah. Pat goes, with realistic bodies, the entire Dead or Alive franchise would die. Yes, especially since they make special boob physics.
To make it more realistic. How can you make the physics more realistic when the shape doesn't exist in nature?
Yeah. Oh my, it's too funny. All right. Do you guys have any questions for us before we close out the show? And also, if you want any of those Rainbow Six Siege codes, put Rainbow Six Siege in chat, and I'll make sure that you get one. Because yes, I have them to give away, and I will direct message you with the code and how to get them and how to download them. Because essentially, what happens is you have to go to Rainbow Six .com and /beta and just sign up, and you pick your platform and all that jazz. So yeah, just throw Rainbow Six Siege in chat, and I will make sure that you get one of these. You can also holler at us on Twitter, and I will make sure that you get a Rainbow Six Siege beta code as well. But yeah, you guys got any questions tonight? I see that you're talking a lot here in
Oh, I think
talking a lot in the chat.
Pat has one if chat can stop moving.
Yeah, Paul has one. He says, when am I getting a new computer? Ha! When I have the money to buy one. I had the money, and then damsel Quebec decided to send me my welcome tax for buying my house. Yeah. 2 years after I bought my house. It happens. It'll come eventually. There's just money saving, and you know how it is. Sometimes hiccups happen. You had a question earlier, Craig, but I missed it. I'm trying to go
I've
back.
got Pat's question. What do you girls think of the Kojima thing of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero removing himself, premeditating his exit of Konami?
So he did that prior?
Kojima thing of Metal Gear Solid Ground Zero removing himself, premeditating his exit of... He left the project because he was going to leave Konami? Is that what you're saying?
Did he leave or did he get kicked out? I think that's what's not really clear right now.
Or did they kick him off the project and then he left because he was like, fuck you guys?
I don't know. I'm so confused with everything it has to do. All I know is that I don't even know. I don't even know anymore. It's so confusing. And now he's tweeting out pictures of Puma sneakers. Was it preemptive? I don't know. Do I think it was? Probably not. I think it was something that contracts happen, and he probably threw a hissy fit saying, well, my name's not being on anything if you're putting this out and I'm not having a say in it, so they removed him from the project and his name from anything because he probably doesn't have final say in any of it. There must have been something that went down that ticked him off. And yeah, that's usually what happened in those scenarios. Kat?
I don't know. To be honest, like, I stopped following. I was just like, this sounds like politics. And, I left my previous workplace because they had too much politics. So I'd like to keep it out of my entertainment. Office politics.
Yeah, he said you had to remove logos of his old games, and if you succeeded the mission, you had a cryptic message. I mean, that's kind of petty. I mean, you didn't create those games. You don't see them going and removing somebody else's name from a game that they, left a company from afterwards. That's kind of petty. Was it preemptive? I guess so, since they're doing that now. Yeah.
Maybe he changed the menu at the cafeteria.
You can remove the name, but you can't remove the memories. That's very true. Everything that has to do with Metal Gear Solid and Silent Hills is definitely, Kojima's name is all over that, and nobody's going to forget that. Everybody's going to remember this fiasco, though, which sucks for Konami, but they kind of screwed it up. Craig had a question. Most overused cliche in a video game. Ooh, that's a tough one. Overused cliche. Got any ideas?
Sorry, I'm smack talking, Graph.
Nice.
Smack talk! cliches. The damsel in distress.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, I
Or
think that's one.
the thing in distress, the city in distress, the damsel in distress, the you're the only one who can do this shit.
I've got mine right now with zombies. I can live without a zombie game for a while. I'm tired of zombies. The dead can go die.
The dead can stay dead.
That mechanic is like done. We need to figure out something else now. Like, can't we have some other monster? Can we have like vampires? Can we have like Swamp Thing? Can we have mummies? Well, is that The Walking Dead? I don't know. They don't like try and eat brains. They're mummies. They tie you up and I don't know. What do mummies do anyway? But there has to be some other monster that we can, play with. But I mean, it makes total sense. Catherine Ashley gave us the whole diatribe on how uh, zombies always come back when there's like a recession and all this kind of stuff. So yeah, it makes total sense why they're big now, but I'm just done. I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done with the. Yeah, zombies are done and the thing in distress. Like, I think there's a way to set up a plot without being like, they kidnapped the princess, or some supervillain is just trying to destroy the world. Like, like I loved Dragon Age, but that was basically the plot. It's like supervillain tries to destroy world.
Mm.
One person gets marked by supervillain, like a la Harry Potter style.
Mm.
Only person that can like close the thing. At least they made it the way in a way that's like you don't you as a person do not carry your team. Like you need your team to actually do shit. So it was like, it's the Inquisitor plus everybody else, not just the Inquisitor. So I was like, yeah, kind of overdone. That's my thing. I really dug, how Skyrim did it. Because it was like, it first started like, dragons are back, what the fuck? And then you have to investigate, and then you get to discover a whole new thing. And then towards, yeah, you are the chosen one. They put that out pretty early in the game, but it takes a while before you find out like what is going on and who's trying to destroy what and what you have to do, and it's not just like chosen one, Neo, save us from the robots.
I actually think Batman Arkham Knight. Look, I haven't written my review yet for Batman Arkham Knight, so I'm going to fill you on some of it now. Hashtag spoilers, because I'm going to be talking about a few things, but I'll try not to do anything too bad. Most of this is common knowledge now anyway. The thing about Batman that I was really intrigued with that actually confused a lot of people, and I got confused in the beginning, it kind of made me confused how far along I was in story mode, is there's no real boss fights in Batman Arkham Knight. And in that, I like it because it takes that trope out of it. And that's an overused cliche, is like, go do a mission, fight a boss. Go do a mission, fight a boss. Go do a mission, earn a weapon, go fight a boss that you need the weapon to use, add weapon to your arsenal. That kind of thing. Batman Arkham Knight didn't really do that. And it actually felt like something, it's supposed to take place over one night, and it actually made it feel more like all these events took place over one night, and Batman's just going from place to place trying to solve a mystery and trying to catch Scarecrow. So for that, I think that trope is something that's overused a lot, and Batman actually helped that out a bit, but did confuse me because I was so used to that trope and cliche of having to fight a boss battle in order to progress. But yeah, other cliches, it's kind of hard because we're kind of inundated with so many different games now, and I find I'm playing less triple A's and more indies, and they kind of break the rules on cliches and make you think differently.
Yeah.
Life Goes On was kind of cool when I played that indie game because the whole point was to die, but to die strategically, so that you could help the next character move forward in order to get to the end of the mission. I'm going to play Journey in a bit. And that game is like a game that's not a game, and you don't really get any indication of what you're supposed to be doing. You get a few prompts and that kind of stuff. But the story, like there's no exposition in the same sense that you get in Batman and things like that. So that kind of stuff's good. But yeah, I think the indie games is where you're going to look to break those tropes and those cliches more so now than even triple A's. And it's just because I think triple A's take so long to create and so many people are working on it that it makes it that much more difficult to like innovate in some cases.
Yeah, I think a lot of when you get financial success, they don't want to take these kinds of risk, and then they get stuck in their with their heads up their own asses,
Mm,
and then they take something good, and you see it slowly decay
mm,
until they're like, okay, let's take a risk and try to make it better, and then your franchise comes back to life, and you're like, holy shit.
mm.
Yeah, because Rocksteady had something good with Batman Arkham, and they make something great, but by the fourth game, it's still Batman.
Yeah. I agree with Sergeant Hunley. There was a lot of tank battle. Um, and one thing that I really enjoyed about the other games was actually zipping around the city. And I actually found that I wasn't doing that, flying around the city quite as much. Obviously, there are pieces of the game where you're forced to. Like, the whole point for following around, I think it was Two Faces Men, is that you had to, like, follow them from the sky so that they didn't know where you were and you were trying to find their home base. Or was that Penguins? I'm trying to remember. Anyways, but yeah, that was taken out of it because there was so much tank battle. But at the same time, I enjoyed the tank battle. Once I like got the hang of it, I was just blowing the shit out of everything. But yeah, it was good.
Well, it's kind of like Assassin's Creed
Yeah.
and Black Flag. They were like, "You have a boat now." I was like, "Yeah, I have a boat," and I was like so taken by the boat and just going everywhere by boat, and I was just like, I have a boat, but I forgot to notice that the rest of the game was exactly the same. All they did was gave me a boat, and I was like, yeah, best game ever.
Well, Batman, Origins is another story, but Arkham City was so good that like I'm sure they felt the pressure. They're like, what do we do now to top that? Well, you add in the Batmobile, but you know what would have been really cool? And I kind of was expecting they were going to throw it in as like an Easter egg that they did not talk about, and someone was just going to be like, "Oh shit, you can fly the Batwing or whatever the airship is called." That would have been cool because it showed up a few times. It would drop off the Batmobile. It would like fix a piece or add something to the Batmobile. I was like, wouldn't it be cool if you could fly around the city? I was like, oh, that would be awesome. But I'm sure that would have been like a pain in the butt to try and code because like look how big Grand Theft Auto 5 is and you can fly around in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the only thing that like would have been a kick-ass Easter egg if they'd thrown it in.
But you've been able to fly in Grand Theft Auto for a while now.
I know, but you just look how
Yeah.
big that place is, how much load time that takes, how detailed that is, how long it took them to make that game. Now, mind you, it took them a while to make Batman. I mean, they weren't working on Arkham Origins. That was done here in Montreal, but still, like, that would have been a lot of work to add. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fly the Batwing like Tim Burton's Batman. Yes, that would have been excellent. I would have been a happy camper. I think that's about it for this evening. I don't know if anybody else has any questions. We are at 9 o'clock. It's actually 9:09. I don't know if you guys got any more. So Kat, yes, what have we got coming up in the near future? It's a little crazy. We're trying to get Fan Expo, of course, to cover that. If you're in Montreal, Mondial de Jeux de l'Auto Quebec still going on. We're going to go check out that this weekend. There's also an awesome, I got a press release about Ubisoft and Pride Week combining forces, and there's going to be a ginormous Just Dance party one Saturday. I believe it's the 14th of August. I'm going to go check that out. I think it'll be hilarious seeing a gazillion people dance in the park right next to Barrie Metro Station. What else is coming up?
It'll be a different kind of riot for once.
Ha! Yeah, a very flamboyantly energetic and colorful one.
A little bit of context for everybody. All the riots, the student riots that we had in Montreal like 2-3 summers back in the Printemps Arabe all started. They would all meet up in that park and then start a riot from there. So now it's going to be a different kind of riot. It's going to be a Just Dance riot. It's going to be a time.
It's going to be a time indeed, with lots of boogieing. All right. So, I guess that's it for us this evening. Thank you guys for coming to hang out. Sorry this wasn't at the normal same bad time, same bad channel kind of thing. We will be back Monday. I promise you, at the right time. Yes, I can't wait for Gamescom 2, Sergeant. That is going to be awesome. I bet we're going to see some more PlayStation stuff then. Yep, for sure. So, if you want to know more about Girls on Games, you can go check out our website where all the fun happens. It's at girlsongames.ca. We're also on Twitter at The Girls on Games, on YouTube, The Girls on Games, Facebook, the Girls on Games Instagram, Girls on Games. Oh yeah, I went and played a whole bunch of Nintendo games yesterday. Didn't even think to talk about that. Played Starcraft, Star Fox Zero. Played Mario Maker. Played Yoshi's Woolly World. I got to touch the squishy Yoshi. Yeah, so all those things are going to be up on the website in the next few days. All my impressions, that kind of stuff. Batman review, all the jazz. So yes, you have to check out girlsongames.ca in the next few days and today because we have good stuff there now. We have an awesome article by Simo about why Rainbow Six Siege could easily be an esport, and I think that might happen. We shall see. We've also got a great article about Assassin's Creed and all the things about the media, but it's not the actual video games that Catherine threw up there, Catherine Ashley. So yeah, it's there's lots of good stuff coming. I know a lot of folks are on vacation right now. Enjoy the sun while it's here. We love you all. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again on Monday. Bye.
Bye.